So it's basically just massive Yuri bait. I'm still gonna watch it, bro. I'm still gonna watch it. Cause of course I am. I like Yuri. Yuri is great. Yuri is best. I think every show should have Yuri in it. If I had my way, if I was God, I would put Yuri in everything. Yuri makes life better. Who doesn't love Yuri? No one cares about straight romances in 2025. Hello? Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am FonRath, and once again, I am here to judge some anime. We come here every time a new season of anime is released or is about to release, and I give my first impressions on all these shows that are about to come out. Now I, as the self-proclaimed arbiter of anime, am very experienced when it comes to watching anime, and I have seen over 1,000 shows. Not exaggerating, by the way. I really have. I spend a lot of time watching anime. It is what it is. Don't ask. In any case, we're going to go through this list of anime. Unfortunately, not every show that's kind of anime-esque will be on this list. Korean anime, even though it's not anime, but whatever. Point is, Korean shows and Chinese shows that are very good, that are also animated, might also be coming out, that usually are not on these lists, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Maybe there's a better list somewhere, I don't know. Point is, we'll just go through most of these anime to see if there's anything worth watching in the summer 2025 season of anime. Couple of things to go over real quick. If you're new here, I am a serious anime enjoyer. I think most anime, not all, most anime that have the comedy tag, as you can see here, the comedy tag will be shit. Because these types of anime, they focus way too much on comedy. In general, these days, I'm not really into the extremely anime-esque anime, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but who cares? Point is, most shows with this tag, the comedy tag, I will probably skip. It is what it is. But there's this main rule that I've always followed, which is there's 5 tags that I don't like. Now bear in mind, individually, I don't mind these tags exactly. Comedy, romance, school, ecchi, and harem. If there's any combination of 3 of these 5, that's an immediate skip. Just not even a question. Let us get into it. First show on the list, on this list at least, is Dandadan, second season. Now I have not seen the first season. I've heard it's good, I guess. The strange thing is, I've heard of this show. I've seen people kinda say that it's kinda good, but interestingly enough, I don't know what it's about. It's kind of weird because people say that it's good, but no one ever talks about it. You know, in the normal mainstream, I don't really hear anyone talk about it. People mention the name, but they don't talk about it. But all I've heard about it is that the first season was good. I don't know anything about the show. Personally, the reason I didn't watch it is because, I mean, you look at the picture here, right? And it's very anime-esque, isn't it? You know, very, like, clearly over the top, dumb, if that makes sense. And the comedy tag being here is kind of like exactly what I'm talking about. There's also romance, I guess, but like, this just doesn't feel like it's for me at all. This kind of reminds me of Mob Psycho 100. It's like a battle action anime, but then there's this over-the-top anime-esque comedy, which just kind of like, okay, I suppose that's kind of funny, you know? That's kind of how I feel about it. I'm sure Dandadan is fine, but like, not for me. Second season of, what was the English name for this? My Dress Up Darling or something? Again, I haven't seen the first season. I'm sure it's good, but it's just like, something about it, I just wasn't, like, even back when the first season came out, something about it just screamed like, this is cringe. I don't know why. And so I never checked it out. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Maybe I would enjoy it if I watched it. I don't know. But remember those 5 tags that I mentioned? Comedy, ecchi, romance? Uh-oh. 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. Skip. That's a skip for me, dog. That's a skip for me. Honestly, I think it might have been the fact that if you look at the characters, right, it gives off the feeling of the very, very classic, the stoic guy who is kind of shy, doesn't really say anything, and then the outgoing girl who's very like extroverted and whatever. It's like we keep seeing that exact stereotype all the time. It's either this or it's the other way around, where the girl is the main character, quote unquote main character, the main protagonist, and the girl is kind of the shy girl, the reserved stoic girl, and then the guy is like the outgoing extroverted type. It's always the same thing, always. And that's because I think in Japan they always think that when it's a romance story, they need to have two characters that are opposites in their personality, which you don't need, by the way. You don't. That was a thing in kind of like good storytelling a lot of the times, where, if you wanted to have romance or two characters as the main two characters, that you needed their personalities to kind of fill in the gaps for each other, if that makes sense. Help each other out when it came to what they're lacking. But honestly, you don't really need to do that, and it's kind of gotten old, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. I don't know. I just want something unique, something fresh. And when I see these two characters immediately, I'm like, we've seen this before. But I'm sure it's good. I mean, for people who like the first season, I'm sure it's good. Who knows? Second season of whatever the fuck this is, I'm not even gonna. I don't even know what this is. I don't even recognize it, and I don't really care. It's been 3 shows, and they're all second seasons so far. We have comedy, drama, and romance. Once again, kind of annoying. This list is kind of annoying. We look at this picture here, right? What do you see here immediately? Without even reading this, right? What do you see here immediately? I see this guy. From his face, I can tell, okay, he's probably the shy, stoic character that we literally just saw and talked about. And then you have the outgoing, extroverted, friendly girl who also, why is there a reason why the guy needs to be super mega tall and that the girl is like half his size? And let me guess, the girl is like older than him, right? But anyway, let's read it, right? Chidori High is a boys' school that takes in the dregs of society with the lowest grades. Next door stands the girls' high, where the wealthy high-class families send their precious daughters. Second year, Rintaro, who has a fierce face but gentle heart. Classic. Again, like I said, these stereotypes are just so fucking overused. Is helping at his family's patissiere. When he meets a girl named Garuko, the two hit it off right away. This blissful peace is quickly disturbed when Rintaro discovers that she's actually a student at this school, where she doesn't seem to realize what a huge problem this really is. Well, these two will be able to... Okay, so it's basically just, oh my god, look at all those dirty boys who are the dregs of society, cannot have a normal life. They cannot have a normal romance. How dare they even try? Even though the schools are pretty much right next to each other. It's like, I don't know. But again, like I said, immediately just looking at the characters, you can kind of immediately tell what their personalities are and what their dynamic is going to be. And I don't like that. I want the characters to be something fresh. It's always always the same thing. Like, you could say, who has a fierce face and a gentle heart, you could say that exact same thing about this. The exact same, probably. But I digress, right? It is what it is. Action, drama, fantasy. This seems a little weird, not gonna lie. I can't really... I'm not sure what to make of this promotional art, but let's read the description. A boy lives in a floating town where the poor scrape by and the rich live a sumptuous life, simply casting their garbage off to the side into the abyss. When he's falsely accused of murder, though, his wrongful conviction leads to an unimaginable punishment. Exile off the edge with the rest of the trash. Down on the surface, the cast-off waste of humanity has bred vicious monsters, and to travel the path of vengeance against those who cast him into hell, a boy will have to become a warrior. Okay, now I'm not sure yet, but I decided, well, we can watch the trailer. Now, I might have to cut this part out of the video because a lot of these trailers immediately get claimed and struck and whoever, a lot of copyright shit. I'm probably gonna mute the audio and heavily have to, like, you know, maybe cut it up. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so I'm starting to understand, like, the vibe that they're going for, but, you know, I asked the question, why does the main character, why does the protagonist, why does the character that we see the story, whose point of view we see the story from, why does it always need to be the angry kid? Why? Right? You look at this trailer, right? And we see, oh, the angry kid is the main character. Why can't the main character be someone like this? Right? Why can't we see, why does no one ever tell a story from one of these characters' point of view? That's what I want to know. I would love to see a show or a story from the point of view of a character like this. It's always the fucking kid, the angry kid who has to be the protagonist for some reason. Okay, that was pretty good, not gonna lie. I will say, this is definitely going to be worth watching, I feel like. I'm definitely going to check out the first episode for this. I will also probably react to the first episode of this. I'm considering doing this kind of new series where I check out the first episode of a lot of these shows that I deem worth watching during this video. So we'll probably do our first impression reaction of the first episode of this sometime in the future. And if I like the show enough, I'll continue with it. But yeah, I definitely, from what we saw there, definitely worth watching. Kind of a little bit like something that we've seen before when it comes to the main character being an angry kid who gets wrongly convicted or whatever, and is just mad at the world and how things are, and the world is cruel and this world is so fucked up, and all the people who run the show are doing all kinds of bad things, and I hate the world and I hate the society, and I fight back and I kill things, and I'm angry. Not really my cup of tea. I prefer the smart characters who actually think and have good motivations, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. We have another second season of a show that I don't think I've seen. I think maybe I watched the first episode of the first season, but I could be wrong. I don't really remember. I'm not going to be watching the second season if I haven't seen the first season, so I don't have an opinion. But it does have comedy in it, so ooh, you know, romance as well, and comedy. Ooh, oof, that's an oof right there. We have Hikaru ga Shindanatsu. Horror, mystery, psychological, supernatural thriller. Woo, The last time we saw two males on a poster, on a promotional art, we had link click, so, you know, who knows, maybe it good, Two best friends living in a rural Japanese village. Growing up together, they were inseparable until the day one of them came back from the mountains and was no longer himself. Something had taken over his body, memories, feelings, and everything they know begins to unravel. Again, I'm gonna check the trailer. Looking a little gay, not gonna lie, you know, it is what it is. Okay, well, pretty straightforward stuff. kind of stuff we've seen before. Roughly, guy comes back, something's obviously like possessing him or whatever, or maybe the original is dead, who knows. The main guy finds out that his friend is now someone else, but at the same time, still, they have a good time and whatnot, and he kind of becomes friends with this creature that's, possessing or impersonating his friend. There's a lot of fear and horror and mystery when it comes to this creature that's impersonating him. But then, to kind of show that this friend, this creature, has no ill intentions, they probably, most likely, introduce another creature, or like a villain creature that then the friend creature starts fighting against to kind of prove his good nature, and so on and so forth, right? Very, very, I would say summertime render-ish, with the shadows, where it's like, oh, you have these bad shadows, but then you also have good shadows, I'm sure it could be good. It definitely needs to do something unique, though. Pretty much everything I saw in the trailer, I feel like we've seen before, or at least it's kind of predictable. So as long as they do something in their story that it's kind of like, oh shit, we haven't seen this before, then it could be very good. But for now, like, I would just say it's worth giving a watch. It's kind of hard to say with this one because it's one of those shows that's probably going to have a slow start, and you kind of need to keep watching to know if it's going to be good. I would say maybe give it an episode or two. Sakamoto Days, Part 2, again, second season of something that I haven't seen. So, Bunny Girl Senpai, right? I'm not gonna lie, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, a hot take, if you will, but I thought the first season was kind of trash, not gonna lie. Like, it wasn't trash, but it was so bad. The thing is, when the first season came out, I watched it, obviously, and everyone was saying, oh my god, it's so good, oh my god, and there I was, watching it and being like, brother, the first girl, this girl's storyline that ended with 3 episodes, and then they moved on to other girls? That storyline should have been the entire season. I thought the first 2 episodes of the first season of her storyline, of like her problem, was very good. It's very clear what they were going for. They were trying to do what the Monogatari series had done before them, where they had the main girl storyline at the very beginning, and then they move on to the next character, and then the next character, and then the next character. Instead of doing her storyline and having that storyline throughout the entire fucking season. For those of you who don't know, if you haven't seen the first season, basically her storyline, which was completed in the first 3 episodes, was basically that she was invisible to people. She was invisible, or like people couldn't perceive her existence after a while. So basically she was going around, and that's why it's called Bunny Girl Senpai, right? She was going around in a bunny costume, like a bunny suit, right? Just walking around. And then the main character notices that because she's walking around in a bunny girl outfit in the library, I think it was. And then he's like, what the fuck? And then goes to talk to her, and she's like, oh my god, you can see me? He finds out that she basically, like, no one can see her, no one can perceive her existence. And at the time, I thought that was a really, really cool idea. That was such a good storyline. And then slowly but surely, the main character also starts to not perceive her anymore, right? It's like getting worse, right? And then eventually, the main character forgets her as well. And I thought it would be a great idea. What I would have done, it would have been an amazing idea to have the main character, in the first 3 episodes, the main character gets to know her and then also forgets about her. or can't perceive her existence anymore, right? And then as the main character goes through the rest of the show with all these other girls and helps them out every so often, like maybe once every 2 episodes or so, something happens just out of nowhere. Like something happens to where the main character notices it, but it's like, what? Did that thing move on its own? Or, I could have sworn I left my mug on that counter instead. Or, I could have sworn I closed the refrigerator door, but it's open right now, right? Like small things, as if something might be there. As the main character goes through, helps all these other characters, maybe occasionally, like things kind of go his way to help him, but he doesn't really notice why. But we know that this girl, the bunny girl senpai, is like still there, probably following him around, helping him out, even though no one can see her or perceive her existence. We can as the audience, but no one else can, right? And then finally, at the end of the season, he remembers, and they have that whole like climactic scene at the end where he remembers and whatnot, right? That would be so much better. But no, they just finished her entire story in 3 episodes. It was like, what the fuck? It just came out of nowhere. And in general, like a lot of the other storylines as well were just a bunch of bullshit, like that half the time didn't make any fucking sense. So personally, I don't think Bunny Girl Senpai, I don't think the show is actually that good. Definitely not as good as people say it is. I'm sure people are gonna love this show. Maybe I will check it out as well because I've seen the first season, but I don't know. Probably gonna be kind of mediocre, not gonna lie. It is what it is. Oh. Why would you show me that? The 4th season of Rising of the Shield? How is this garbage dog shit show getting a 4th season? What the fuck? Holy fuck, bro. Yeah, no. Just no. The first, I think maybe 2 episodes were fine. Once the whole like Raftalia like growing up in 3 days thing started hitting, like you started noticing almost every episode there was some sort of fucking dumb coincidence plot hole thing that happened almost every episode. Now I'm not going to go into what those were, but I remember watching this show and being like every episode that came out, every fucking week, in every episode there was a moment where I was like, hello? Isn't this a plot hole? What? Oh, now you're adding a new thing that completely goes against what you had said before? Like, holy shit, there were so many fucking problems with the writing of this show, it was insane. Now, I don't remember if I watched the 2nd season, but I remember I finished the 1st season, I think, and I did not look back. I moved on. The show was so dog shit. I can't. Holy fuck. Ooh, we have Dr. Stone, 2nd cour of the 4th season. I thought there would be a 5th season, but I guess doing 2 cours now. Okay. I watched this season, and I thought it was decent, but kind of dumb, which is kind of very Dr. Stone these days. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there were a lot of episodes in that season, or in the part 1 of the season, I suppose, where I straight up just skipped through the episodes. They had multiple episodes where I thought it was my imagination at first, but then I read what people are saying about it, and everyone's saying like literally nothing happened this episode. And I was like, yep, sounds about right. Like they spent like 15 minutes or 10-15 minutes doing some sort of explanation about like how to make like some sort of recipe in cooking or something. Like you have that bartender girl or whatever, butler girl or whatever, like making some sort of food item. And it's like they spend like 10 minutes talking about that shit. It's like, brother, who the fuck cares, bro? Get back to the fucking Stone World science. Like, no one fucking cares about this shit. I'm not gonna lie, like, Dr. Stone has gone downhill every season past the 1st season. It's unfortunate, but I mean, I'm still gonna watch it because it was somewhat entertaining. They kind of got back to the stone world science aspect of it in the last season, but definitely wasting a lot of time with a bunch of bullshit. Probably because they have too many characters now. It's still like a decent watch though. So Grand Blue's second season, I think I watched the first season. It was kind of funny. I think this was one of the shows that actually has decent comedy. If I'm thinking of the right show, I think it is. Probably because they had a lot more like realistic comedy and not just like very anime-esque comedy, if that makes sense. So this is definitely worth watching, I think. Silent Witch. The Silent Witch is the world's only practitioner of voiceless magic, a veritable heroine who single-handedly fended off the Black Dragon of legend. However, the young prodigy is actually super duper shy. Turns out she only learned voiceless magic to avoid speaking in public. Ignorant of this, the 7 mages have placed her on a top secret mission to guard the second prince. Okay, so if it's a top secret mission to guard the second prince, why are there so many girls on the picture? Where's the prince? I don't see a prince. I see girl, 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 girl. There's no guys in here. Why are they saying prince? There's only princesses here, right? I don't see a prince. Why does it have to be a prince? Do a princess. Everyone loves some fucking Yuri, bro. Just do Yuri, Jesus. No one cares about straight romances in 2025. Hello? This... I don't really know. We can check the trailer, I suppose. Okay. It's very interesting how they have this promotional art for this show where it's girl, 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 right? And yet the show is about the shy girl being approached by a bunch of these guys who it's gonna turn into a harem, basically. It's very interesting how they bait you in, showing that it's about a lot of cute girls, but in reality, it's basically a reverse harem. It might be something to check out just for some epic moments with her, the main character being super powerful and, some of those cool moments, but let's be honest here. From the trailer, I can immediately tell that it's basically just the shy girl in a reverse harem situation where, she has to protect the blonde-haired pretty boy prince, who's probably gonna fall in love with her, but there are other guys as well who are assholes to her at first and probably fall in love with her eventually, and it's like, ugh, we've seen this before. Again, maybe for those cool moments where she's badass with her magic, but other than that, kind of a no, not gonna lie. Second season of yes, this show. Basically, this was a super cringe show that I dropped. It's like some sort of weird isekai about this guy who gets I guess isekai or whatever, and then or maybe it wasn't isekai, maybe it was just rebirth or reincarnation. But basically, the main character is this like little child who dresses like a girl, but is actually a guy. And then I don't exactly remember because I dropped it pretty quickly, pretty early, but it was kind of weird. I think it was like that a lot of the other characters sexualized the character or something, or maybe it wasn't sexualized, maybe it was like, fuck, I don't remember what it was. It was something weird, something really weird about it. And I could not continue with it. It was just kind of super cringe. There was definitely some really weird shit going on. Now this I'm kind of excited about, but also hesitant. Okay. Nice try, bro. Panty and stocking with garter belt. I'm sorry, this is not a Japanese thing. Okay, I just can't. I remember watching this show, and I'm pretty sure I watched it with English. I can't imagine watching this in Japanese. I just no. Definitely something to keep an eye out. I predict this to be one of the more popular things to come out. Not much to talk about though. The first season was great, I guess, and now they're back after a long time. Moving on, we have something about water. Something magic, water magic magician or something, I don't know. Okay, action, adventure, fantasy. Ryo is delighted to be reincarnated, isekai, into the fantastical world of Fi, where he thinks he'll get to live a quiet life, learning to use his newfound water magic. Going with the flow here, however, means something very different. Ryo is immediately pitted against the wild lands he winds up in and the slew of deadly monsters that call the remote subcontinent home. You'd think he'd forget about taking it easy when he's stuck fighting for his life, but lucky for Ryo, he's naturally optimistic, clever, and blessed with the hidden eternal youth trait. 20 years pass in the blink of an eye, and each encounter along the way pushes him one step closer to the pinnacle of human magic. Little does he realize that's only the opening chapter of his tale. A fateful meeting soon thrusts him to the forefront of history, forever changing the course of his life. Thus begins the adventures of the strongest water magician the world has ever seen. Let me just check this out real quick. Kirito motherfucking looking ass, by the way. I'll give it a watch. It could be good as long as they focus on the traveling aspect of it and they don't introduce too many characters. So I'll check it out. Moving on, we have Tougen Anki. Okay. So it's basically just another battle anime. Something something, something something, something something. Haven't we seen this before? Like, isn't this literally the, again, I'm really bad with names, but I'm pretty sure we've seen at least like 3 shows like this before where the world has some sort of monsters or vampires or something, and then there's like a group of people, like an organization that fights against them, and then the main character gets brought into that organization and they start fighting against, like, that's basically Demon Slayer, as well as that other show that was kind of popular that had like vampires in it, and then the main character who's like a Kirito motherfucking looking ass has like a best friend character who was like blonde or whatever, who turned into a vampire or something, or was a vampire or something. You know, we just see shit like this every so often. I'm pretty sure we've had like 3 or 4 of these types of shows with the same type of storyline where there's a bunch of monsters and then the organization that fights against them, and it's like blah blah blah, right? Kind of like maybe if you're into action anime and battle, maybe you'll find this interesting, but like I can already tell this is not for me, just based off of the type of protagonist the show has. You know, I don't know. I don't really care. I've seen so many fucking battle anime already that I just don't care. I'm not even gonna... we're just gonna skip over this one. Something something, story centers on something something. Okay, from what I saw, this is actually worth watching, seemingly. From a little bit of the trailer that I watched, it's decent. It doesn't feel like there's any bullshit anime comedy in it, and it actually feels like the story is taking itself seriously. So I feel like this is worth giving a few episodes. Moving on, we have a bunch of girls. Ooh, I like this one. Comedy romance. Not a good sign. Not a good sign indeed. Something something, determined to become a normal girl, blah blah. Okay, so there's some Yuri. Interesting. So it's basically like extreme Yuri bait, basically. It's kind of like Bloom Into You, but more anime. And in general, that show was pretty good. This kind of feels like that, except there's a lot more like... a lot less seriousness, I think. So it's basically just massive Yuri bait. I'm still gonna watch it, bro. I'm still gonna watch it. 'Cause of course I am. I like Yuri. Yuri is great. Yuri is best. I think every show should have Yuri in it. If I had my way, if I was God, I would put Yuri in everything. Yuri makes life better. Who doesn't love Yuri? We have more isekai. Succumbed to an illness at a young age, ended up reincarnated into his favorite game. as the god who commands the evil civilization, with the beautiful hero unit. Beautiful hero unit, by the way.
あれもしかしてアテはい我が王よ
Yep, that's a nope. That's a nope. This is just basically someone's fucking fantasy of what they wish would happen to them. This is basically the writer just writing a fan fiction. I want to be the demon king who has sexy ladies working under him. Jesus Christ, man. Just no, I don't care. I really don't care. Moving on, we have something new saga. Ooh, there's some seemingly time travel involved in this show.
家族仲間愛する人
I might check out like an episode or two, but otherwise it seems kind of like mediocre. Kinda-ish something that we've seen before. Not really anything super special. I haven't seen the first season of this harem, so I'm not even gonna bother. I didn't watch the first season of the reincarnated as a vending machine because it's so fucking stupid. I'm never gonna watch that shit. This might be interesting as like a slice of life. But I'm not going to talk too much about this. Slice of lives are always kind of hit or miss. Slice of lives have this thing where they either have good dialogue and interesting dialogue, or they have dialogue that you just snore through, where they're saying things, but they're not really saying anything. So yeah, they either have good dialogue or they don't have good dialogue. Comedy, drama, romance, slice of life. From what I'm reading here, it's super cringe. I just ooh. And then the picture as well. The main character is obviously a basic, the classic bland short brown hair guy who is kind and classic basic Japanese high schooler that every anime like this has, that they want the viewer to self-insert into. It's just, ugh, I'm just gonna skip that. Nah. Comedy mystery, I'm sorry. The moment I see this, I want to skip. And you want to know why? Because you cannot have good mystery with comedy. You cannot have good mystery and serious mystery with comedy. You just can't do that. And by comedy, I mean the comedy tag. And I think I've explained this multiple times in this series, but every show will have comedy in it. For instance, even though Marvel movies have comedy in them, you don't call Marvel movies comedy movies. You call them action, thriller, like action movies, yeah. Most anime will have comedy in them, even if they're serious stories, but they would never have the comedy tag in them. In other words, shows that don't have the comedy tag in them will have some comedy in them, but a show that has the comedy tag in it, that means that like 80 and 90% of the show will be comedy. In other words, this show will be a comedic mystery, which I'm just not interested. Not interested. Again, I've never seen this show. Don't have an opinion. Futari Solo Camp. Solitary camper who cherishes his alone time in nature, blah blah, This might be interesting. I do think the Eurocamp was pretty good. You know, those types of shows kind of make you want to go camping. And I think this might be interesting. Especially as long as they keep it to 2 characters. And they don't keep introducing characters every episode to the point where they have like 6 to 8 characters and like it's just a fucking clusterfuck. So this could be good. I might check out this one. We have comedy romance. Ugh. Yeah, I'm probably gonna skip this one. Immediately I'm like, okay, who's the main character in this promotional art? This girl, right? The girl in the front, who's the biggest, right? Right? If she was the main character, I'd be like, hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. But she's not the main character. You wanna know who the main character is? This short stack at the very back here, who's running after these girls. Okay, so you have these three characters, these three girls, and the main character. Okay, are you actually gonna do some romance? No, you're fucking not. Of course you're not gonna do any romance. Of course not. Why not? You say it's a romance, but what are you actually gonna do? You're not gonna have the main character end up with anybody. Of course fucking not. You're just gonna be doing some fucking teasing. You're gonna be doing, oh, he has like romantic moments with all of these three characters, but he's never gonna end up with anybody. They're just gonna leave it off as oh, they all like him, blah blah blah, like, and they won't get anywhere. That's how it always goes, and that's why these shows are shit. Actually commit to someone, okay? Commit to a character and actually do some actual romance instead of like wishy-washy, like, oh, everyone likes the guy and he kind of likes all of them at the same time, but no one ever gets together with anybody, and the end. Jesus Christ. I'm not even gonna, just looking at this picture, if I speak, I will be in trouble, probably. Like, Jesus Christ, what is this? Brother, at least they don't have a romance tag here. That would be fucked. On a rainy day, Fuji meets a cute critter posing as a dog and offering an umbrella and a cue card that says, please take me home, that she can't resist. With this dog poster's quirky charm and mysterious ways, life together becomes a heartwarming adventure of friendship and shared seasons. As long as she doesn't fuck it, maybe it might be decent. But as long as she doesn't fuck it, because, you know, I say that as a joke, but we've had animes where, what was it, like a guy reincarnates into being a dog and then goes to live with his previous crush that he had in his previous life as a human, and then she takes him into the bath with her and they have sex or something. Yeah, let's just hope that she doesn't fuck it, okay? Let's see, we have, again, just some weird, like, prince-princess romance. We've seen this before. Don't even need to really look at it. If you're into this sort of thing, where the Prince Charming sweeps the princess off her feet, by all means, not really interested. I'm just personally not interested in this type of stuff. The only way I would be maybe interested is if the main character was the guy. And the main character is smart, charismatic, based, and then the girl is also smart, charismatic, and based, and not a shy girl, okay? That would be the only way I'm interested. But let's be honest here, the main character in this show is the girl, and he is the Prince Charming, basically. I'm just not interested in that type of stuff. Arc Knights, never mind. Skip. I'm not really into video game shows. It actually could be good, not gonna lie. I think, fuck, what was the name of that? Blade and Soul was pretty good. I actually like that show a lot. I think they made a really good anime off of the Blade and Soul storyline. They probably butchered it. I did play the game as well. And they 100% kind of did their own thing for the anime. Still, I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. I actually maybe I should rewatch that show. Jigoku Sensei Newbie. Psychic teacher with a demon hand. Nah, this is not for me. As well as the comedy tag, obviously. It's like, how do you have horror and then comedy? These two are impossible to go together. You cannot do both. No. No. Nah. Oh, nah. Nah. Oh? Two girls? Comedy slice of life. But it's two girls, so maybe Yuri. Let's check it out. Kind of got an idea of what the show is. This might actually be interesting. It heavily depends on the dialogue. 100%. They either make the characters funny and relatable, or they don't. What the fuck? What the fuck? This law permits and even encourages lewd sex acts everywhere on the island. Huh? You sure we're not talking about a hentai? Junnosuke, a proud virgin and staunch defender of virginity. He forms the anti-copulation front. No love, no sex. And sets out to destroy the perverted law once and for all. Huh? What? Excuse me? Am I dreaming right now? Am I sleeping? Ow, I just slapped myself in the face. Ow, that fucking hurt. Because I forgot I had rings on. Ow. Now my fucking face hurts. Ow. Shit. How is this not a hentai? I'm just gonna move on. Okay, now they're straight up just making fun of the ugly bastard. Okay? Just no, I'm not gonna be watching that, bro. I'm just gonna keep going until I see something that isn't completely weird. Okay. Beacon of science, prosperity rises. Lurking in the shadows are Tesseractor. Monsters born from... Again, didn't we literally see this earlier? Again, the world has a bunch of monsters roaming around in it, and then there's this group that fights against them and destroys them with magic, and it's like, we literally... I'm pretty sure we saw this exact situation last season, where there were like 5 girls that had superpowers, and they were fighting like these robots that had taken over the world, or aliens or whatever. Cute girls doing cute things, boys doing boy things, I guess, some sort of cooking show. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's pretty much nothing in this season that stands out to me, like extremely. There's a couple that I might check out, and I might do a first impression reaction to their first episodes or something, but I suppose the only big thing that might be a popular thing is the new panty and stocking, but I suppose maybe Grand Blue Season 2. Grand Blue was pretty funny as well. Dr. Stone, no one cares about Rising of the Shield Hero. Anyone with a brain would immediately recognize Rising of the Shield Hero's writing to be complete absolute dog shit. Bunny Girl Senpai, again, in my opinion, just is not as good as people say it is. I don't really understand why they say that it's so good. It really isn't. It's like, sure, the dialogue is pretty decent, but like the storyline writing is just kind of like dumb. I remember it having massive amounts of problems, but it is what it is. I think the one that I'm probably the most excited about is this one. Even though the main character, being like a angry kid, is kind of like a, oof, right? Oof. At least it seems like the world and the darkness of the world is seemingly pretty interesting. It seems to be pretty interesting, so I guess we'll see. Other than that, there's just a lot of second seasons of random kind of like decent shows, I guess, and a couple of potential new isekais. Oh, and I'm also interested in this one. This one seemed pretty good as well from the trailer. And that's about it. Oh yeah, and Yuri maybe. A little bit of Yuri. But more like Yuri bait. They're probably not going to do any actual Yuri, but it is what it is. My opinion on this season, it's weak. It's extremely weak. I think I said the same thing last season as well, but it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Anime is just shit these days. They really don't do anything original. Regardless, there we have it. The summer 2025 season of anime and my first impressions of them. There might be more like Korean and Chinese stuff coming out, and I'm sure those are going to be much better than the Japanese anime, because they almost always are. Because those countries actually seem to give a shit about what they're making. I'm sure if there are some sort of very good shows that weren't on this list, I will find out eventually. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll probably be reacting to maybe the first episodes of a couple of these shows. We'll see how it goes. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I shall bid you a fare thee well.